Yo, Wes, what's going on? How you doing, man?
I am doing well, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm just looking around my desk. I can't find any of the stuff. Do you ever have things that you just need before you start a show? Like I've got this little notebook.
Yes.
I've got a little notebook. It's like, I'm sitting at a computer where I have like a Word document open, and I can just type whatever the fuck I want. But I need I need my notebook and a pen, and I just found it. So I was freaking out for a second there.
I'm the same way, man. Like I don't do the digital notes. I'm an analog guy. Like if we do a giveaway or something of that effect, I always have to have a notebook to write down who entered and all this stuff. I don't know. I'm a little old fashioned, I guess.
Yeah, man. I like being old fashioned. Somebody on the last show in the comments said, Brian, you're 100 years old. And I was like, that's pretty accurate, man.
Yeah.
I feel 100. I felt 100 since I was 12. Like, shit's not going to change. I'm not going to get younger as I get older. So yeah, whoever said that, you nailed it. And with that out of the way, I think we should get this thing started.
Yeah, good idea. Let's do it.
This is PSVR GamesCast Live. We film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on YouTube. We do it live for your viewing pleasure. That's right, 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. You can see us. We can see you. Wouldn't that be fucking crazy if we could see like 150 fucking Cats cameras right now, like as we were doing this? That would be insane. I can see you, Tatum. You're playing VR on the toilet. It's fucked up, but I still approve. My name's Brian Poffnish, right here, PSVR without parole. And this guy over here is Wes Dillon from the amazing channel Virtual Strangers. What is going on, my friend?
What is up, Brian? It's finally West Day. How long has it been since we did one of these on an actual Wednesday? It's been like 3 weeks or something like that, right?
7 months, Wes. 7 months.
7 months. It feels like 7 months, dude. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be back on a West Day and pretty excited, man. A lot of cool stuff happening in VR.
Yeah, man, a lot of cool stuff happening in VR. I'm very, very curious. Also, by the way, I said we do this in video format, and then I proceeded to ignore the fact that we also have a podcast. We do this in an audio format over on Spotify and MP3 podcast services of your choice. So don't forget that. And thank you to our friend Jamie for uploading those. And Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry for getting timestamps into this thing after the fact. I'm wondering, Wes, it's funny because PSVR 2 only launched like 7 weeks ago. It's not that long ago, right? And we had an amazing launch. We had all these titles to get caught up on, lots of stuff to play. Still oddly felt like there was a lull after that. Like everybody kind of rushed their games out for that day and then kind of speckled them after that. If you look at the release calendar, it doesn't feel like there was a lull, or it doesn't look like there was a lull. But for a second there, it seemed like there was a lull. Are you getting that feeling too, or are you still like me, just drowning in shit?
I'm still drowning, bro, because unlike you, I have other things that I've been contending with. Like obviously I had some travel, so I had to just stop playing for a week, which was one thing. And then on top of that, we've had some Quest stuff released, and we've had some PC stuff released. So I've had to kind of get away from PSVR to go over and deal with all that stuff. So I'm still drowning in games, man. I barely touched Village, if you can believe it. Like I've barely touched Village. Like I think I've played Gran Turismo maybe more than I've played Village, and I've barely played it. So I'm still drowning. I'm still a month behind on catching up on everything. There's still games like Zombieland and Song in the Smoke that I have even yet to boot. I haven't even played that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't felt the lull at all.
I've got a couple of those myself. I'm happy to the fact that I actually tried out Ragnarok, that I actually tried out Zombieland. But there are certainly more than one PSVR2 games that I haven't even started up. I haven't even downloaded. So
Cactus Cowboy.
Yeah, I haven't checked out Cactus Cowboy. Heard it's way more fun than you'd expect, which is really good to hear.
Really?
And it's free to play. So fucking everybody go check it out and then let me know. I'll get around to it eventually, man. I swear. What I'm happy about though is that like I'm starting to feel comfortable with having some of the more important launch titles reviewed and kind of covered under my belt. Now I can move on to some of the ones that I've just like want to play, like the Light Brigade and Kayak, and just a few different ones that weren't super crazy important to play at launch. Travis Rollins with the $3 tip in the chat sends us a little dancing lemon emoji. Thank you so much, Travis. We appreciate you. Well, that's good, man. That's good. I forgot what we were doing. We got a couple viewer takeover questions. PSVR. Yeah, a couple viewer takeover questions to get started. We haven't been real good about that lately. But remember, guys, if you ever want to get your question into the show, obviously you can super chat right here on the show, or just leave your question in the chat. Like, hopefully we'll see it. But a even better way is to post your question on our Discord. Click the link in the description below. Join us over on Discord. It's good for so many reasons. But one of the reasons is, of course, to leave your viewer takeover question in the viewer takeover channel. And the first one comes to us from just_PSVR2. He writes, "Hey, mate." We taking guesses as to where he's from? Hey, mate.
I can narrow it down for you.
Okay. Love the channel. Been watching for a long time. You're doing great work. Love the PSVR 1 thing. I find now I have the PSVR 2. I can't see myself playing my PSVR 1 again. I didn't care at first that the PSVR 2 games would not be backwards compatible with PSVR 1 games, but now I wish it was so bad, or that more games have been upgraded. I have a few games I'd never finished, like I Expect You to Die 2 and Doom 3, amongst others. At the moment, I can't see myself playing it again. Do you and the other game cats feel the same? Great channel. Love the Discord community. Cheers, everyone. What do you think, Wes? Despite the fact that we've got all these games to play and that we've actually gotten a pretty decent line of games coming over from PSVR 1, whether they be free upgrades, whether they be paid upgrades, we're getting a good chunk of games already. How confident are you that the games we haven't heard about are actually coming over, and how much of an issue do you think this is?
I think we'll get some of them. I don't think we're going to get all of them, unfortunately. I hope that I'm wrong. Hopefully most of them come over, but I mean, it's hard to kind of speculate at this point what's going to happen. I mean, Sony's been so tight-lipped about everything. Pretty much everything the only thing we can do right now is speculate with really no basis to build any kind of like true plan upon. But I feel this. I do feel this because like I put my one of my PSVR headsets away recently the other day, and I've been kind of contemplating it since then. And I mean, there's so many great titles on there that I don't really want to stop playing just yet. So I hope that we do get some kind of an upgrade for Farpoint. And even Rush of Blood, I just finished Switchback a couple of days ago, and I would really love to see a remaster of Rush of Blood. The way I'm kind of dealing with this mentally right now is I keep telling myself that I'm going to bust out the old headset in October. October's the PSVR's birthday. It also is the game that or the month that we typically focus on horror games. So I'm going to bust it back out then to do my annual Here They Lie playthrough that I do every October.
Nice.
I'll do some Rush of Blood, and then maybe we'll find some time for Farpoint. But I certainly feel this sentiment here. There are games that I never finished as well. Like I never finished Golem, and I never finished. I mean, there was a few that I never finished. So yeah, I feel this and concur wholeheartedly. And I'm a little scared, to be honest, that a lot of these games we're never going to see on PSVR2.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident that the ones you listed, I think we're in the clear with. I think things like anything that Sony was associated with first party style, like whether it be Farpoint, whether it be or second party, I suppose. Farpoint, Rush of Blood. I would assume that Sony is, if they didn't develop it themselves, that they'd be looking at the studios and being like, listen, like, we need to bring these games over here. They've already been made. We just need, we need to up-res them. We need to give them some PSVR2 support, some PSVR2 love. And my conspiracy theory for a little bit now, Wes, has been that they're going to reintroduce these games at some point. Astrobot, Everybody's Golf VR, and maybe with some serious upgrades, like with Everybody's Golf VR potentially getting multiplayer, and then releasing them as PlayStation Plus titles. And so if you have a PSVR2 headset, here you are, month after month after month after month, getting PSVR2 titles for free as part of your paid subscription. So I think that would just increase the value of the device that we have. So I think that would be a pretty smart move on Sony's part, and I think that's why we haven't heard about the Persistence or Astrobot or anything like that. Wipe out a mega collection.
Yeah, well, I hope you're right. That would be amazing. Even if plus subscription aside, just getting those games, I'd be willing to pay an upgrade fee for them. I don't want to put out that kind of juju into the air here, but it's the truth is the truth. I would pay $10 each for those games.
Yeah.
And getting them as a plus titles, that would be amazing.
Yeah, now that the launch is out of the way and the whole upgrade fee or having to rebuy these games, I mean, there's a few I think that, like, depending on the work that gets put into them, I would be fine rebuying, right? I think that Golem was severely underrated when it came out. I think that too many reviewers just didn't understand what it was doing or maybe how to play the game. I don't fucking know. But, like, I felt like over here Without Parole and a few other VR sites, we were the only ones really fucking loving it. And I think it deserves another chance, man, because that was just, I don't know, before its time for VR maybe, but maybe I'm just giving it more credit than it deserves.
Yeah, well, VR itself was kind of before its time. It seems like we're just now starting to really get started with it, which is, I guess, good and bad in a way.
For sure. Let me tackle a couple of tips here real quick. First one comes to us from Man Bear Game Cat with a $2 tip. He does exist, Wes. I'm not sure if you knew that, but he does.
I always believed.
He says, Brian, what's the best pizza in Worcester? Also, hi, Tornado. Where is Tornado, man? Like, Tornado's become like a fucking cat-ass cat. Like, she sleeps all day now. Like, she just sits in the racing rig right next to me over here. 20 hours a day. She's done, man. She's knocked the fuck out. It's good stuff. And so I just get to look at her and be like, aren't you adorable? And she's like, shut up, go back to work. And I'm like, that's our relationship. The best pizza in Worcester is by far Kelly Square Pizza. Kelly Square is known as the fucking worst intersection in the world. There's like 17 streets all colliding. Some of them are one way and some of them are not. And it used to be just a couple of them had stop signs and a couple of them didn't. And you just kind of hit the gas and just prayed to God that you'd survive. They just recently made it into a giant rotary, which is like 10 times worse. So, but yeah, if you can navigate the rotary, Kelly Square Pizza, it is just phenomenal. It puts all other pizza to shame. And when I say all other, I mean in the world, which I've never been outside of the country. So in the world.
Is it square pizza or are they round?
No, it's round. It's very traditional.
Yeah, missed opportunity in my opinion.
Kelly's
it's a square pizza. You should be selling square
pizza. Yeah, that's true. We also got the button pressing, joystick moving feline friend with a $2 tip says, Unplugged air guitar is so good. Do you think he's coughing because he's fucking high, Wes? Do you think? I don't think. I mean, so. I don't think we have any people who abuse drugs in our audience. I don't think anybody smokes the reefer or engages any illicit activities. I mean, I don't think so.
That's not drugs, Brian. Weed's not drugs. It's weed.
That's the only right answer. Red Rover, the effing Game Cat with the $5 tip says Jurassic World Aftermath. Any good? By the way, I traded my armband battery packs for a 3D rudder. Was that a good trade, Brian? Oh my God. The 3D rudder's been dead for like half a decade, and the jokes just don't ever stop. Aftermath is a game I haven't even started. That's one of those games that we were talking about at the beginning. Have not even started. AJ is not a fan. I think he played it on Saturday Night Live stream. I know he talked about it here. AJ's not a fan, which makes me really want to play it and love it, just so I can be like, AJ's fucking wrong. Because it makes me happy.
I haven't done it on. That's another one of those on PSVR2 I haven't gotten around to yet. It was a pretty average game on Quest. I'm very interested to see how it ported, though.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly looks very much like a Quest game. I mean, at least in the trailer anyway. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll get around to it. I promise. I'm going to get around to everything. That's the weird thing. Is that like people are like, oh, right, it's not going to. Oh, this is an Oculus commercial. No wonder why it looks like the Quest version. Like, I don't know if the PSVR2 trailer looks any better, but I guess that explains that. People are like, are you going to review this game? Are you going to review that game? Dude, I'm going to try to review everything, but just keep in mind how long this shit takes. I mean, we could very well be well into 2024 by the time I even come close to reviewing all the launch titles. So should be an interesting year.
I think it's a safe bet.
Agreed. I don't know if we answered Dude's question, but thank you so much for the viewer takeover question that led us here. T Chatton with the viewer takeover question says, what's the feedback loop on reviews you get keys to? In Creed, do you mention to them directly that headset and controller haptics are something you considered? And what is the dialogue that can happen with feedback like that? Wes, you want to take this one?
That varies from developer to developer. I mean, there are developers like Fucktronic Labs, for example, who they want feedback. They solicit it. They ask you how you like the game and what they can do to improvement. And then there are others, and I would certainly put Survios in this camp, that just you're lucky if you get a key, and feedback be damned. They could care less what you have to say, or at least it seems that way from our perspective. But I would say it very much depends upon the developer on a case-by-case basis here.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're talking about something like Survios, I think Survios is just a little bit too big to kind of care what anybody is saying. That's my perception, at least. The fact is, if they cared what people were saying, T-Chatting, then they would have allowed us to turn off the stamina system in the new version, because that was everyone's biggest complaint about the original version. They could have had the de facto fucking boxing sim on PlayStation VR2. I don't know if I used de facto right, but it sounds right in my head. They could have had not only the best arcade boxing game on PlayStation VR2, but they could have had the best boxing sim on PSVR2. And just by giving us a little switch that said stamina on, stamina off, right? There's absolutely no reason that we shouldn't have had that option as when it comes to PvP. They only gave us one mode called endurance mode where it's off, where you just use your own stamina. But the campaigns are also relatively short, like really short. I think you can bust them both out in like 2 hours or so, and so there's no reason. They've given us 3 difficulty modes. One of those, like maybe normal, like it's normal, medium, hard. Maybe the normal mode should just be like stamina bar off. So if they cared what anybody thought, they would have changed that already. Some developers are really good, though. Obviously, Sin Studio out there listening to like literally every piece of feedback that comes their way. It's the smaller ones, I think, right? The smaller ones that like really, really need the sales. I think it's probably the case.
Most of the time, there is a small subculture of developers I've found that really don't respect what we do, and then
That's true.
They have the right to their opinion, but I mean there are some developers out there that don't even see the value in giving people like us review keys. Like they don't think we move the needle at all, and they really don't care what we think. I mean, I've given feedback to certain dudes, and I'm not going to call anybody out here. People that were seemingly cool, and gave me all the access and everything I asked for. But as soon as I tried to give them feedback, I got this whole "how dare you?" Like, have you ever made a game?
Right.
Like, no. Then I really don't care what you have to say.
Yeah.
And it was kind of disrespectful. But most developers are not like that. Most of them are very appreciative and really do want to hear what us, the people who play all the games, think about theirs. So,
well, unlike Wes, I will call people out. I think that I think that the team who made was it. No, I always get Tripwire and Highwire confused. It's Highwire who made Golem, right? We were just talking about that game, and they were awful. I think they responded to nobody when it came to giving us the support that we needed, right? It's a PlayStation VR exclusive, and they didn't even give us dual move support, right? The game that they gave us, you held the move button down and pushed your head forward in order to move. And then they eventually gave us nav support control, right? Or you held a dual shock in your other hand, which is just cumbersome and uncomfortable. It's like, just let us use 2 move controllers, man. Like, there's an established locomotion scheme that's been created on this platform, the one that you made Golem for exclusively. And so when I tweeted the developers and said, hey, like, this sucks, man. Like, my neck hurts because I play this game for hours on end. They were like, we got some pillows that we can recommend to you.
Oh, suck it.
I was like, I was like, I got some better games that I can recommend to you. How about that? So it didn't go well. I think that was the end of our relationship. Not that we had one. They were not communicative at all. Social Destruct with
worked on Halo. What do you know?
Yeah, right. Social Destruct with the $10 tip says, Creed is a blast. It needs to have headset haptic feedback. Huge opportunity missed. I hope it gets patched in. It's there. If you can believe it, it's there. I never thought I felt it. What happens is when you would get punched, the headset vibrates subtly, like very subtly, simultaneously with your sense controllers. And so I didn't realize that there was this whole mind, body, hand, head connection thing going on. But eventually I just had to say, you know what? I put the controllers down and just stand in the ring and let somebody punch me in the face over and over. And then I was like, oh yeah, it is there. Right. But when I was holding the sense controllers, I couldn't tell the difference. Right. I was like, it all connects so much. But if you've ever played Galaxy Kart, just going through the item crates in Galaxy Kart is like, bam! Like it is the harshest headset haptics you will ever experience. And I love it, man. Like you hit those item crates like every 30 seconds or so, maybe even more frequently. And it's the best headset haptics I've ever felt. It is insane. Why am I getting punched in the face in Creed and not feeling that? Like, they need to fix that for sure. It's there. It's just not good.
Yeah, I didn't even notice haptics in this game at all. But I mean, I don't know how much of that's the game and how much of that's me, because it's kind of it's a violent game. You're moving around, you're fighting. It's not something that you typically have time to sit around and think about things like haptics. At least that was my experience with it.
Yeah. Also, probably a good time to mention this. I don't know if it was, just your experience with the game, but there is a bug, and I don't know if it's a Unity bug. I don't know if it's a PSVR2 bug, but if you let your console go into rest mode and then you start up a game from that point, sometimes you lose all haptics. So you make sure you reset your console before playing any game, or you may lose haptics in it. It happened in Saints and Sinners Chapter 2. It happened in this. So just be on the lookout. If you ever think you're not feeling anything, your first step should be resetting your console.
You think you can reset that phenomena if you just close the game when you're done playing it instead of letting it run?
I don't think so.
That sucks.
I think it's literally a rest mode problem. It's funny too, because PSVR1 had a rest mode problem. If you left your console in rest mode over and over and over again, the more times you did it, the worse your tracking would get. You'd get like headset wobble and stuff. It was really strange, man. So I don't know what the hell's going on with VR and rest mode, but they do not like each other very much.
Well, clearly Sony just doesn't care about VR. No, I'm just kidding.
Obviously, they've abandoned it.
Yeah.
Sean Turner with the $10 tip says, Synth Riders. Wow, wife and I are addicted. And No Man's Sky is now one of my favorites. And Gran Turismo 7 is still amazing. I'm playing and enjoying PSVR2 more than PSVR1 and Oculus. Love the channel. Also, Bone says hi. Is that a euphemism?
What up, Bone? No, it's Bone. You remember Bone, right? Bone joined our community about a month ago.
Right. I totally remember. Yeah. Also, what up, Bone? Okay, sorry. Like my memory is like Sam Beckett memory. My brain is Swiss cheese brain, so I apologize.
too much Creed. Too many head haptics.
Yeah. Oh, I love the criticisms about my ability to box, my VR boxing skills. It's like somebody has to always come out of the woodwork, Wes, and be like, no offense, man, but like you need to learn to punch better. And it's like, you need to be a better person. So I think I win.
I've knocked these dudes down a couple of times when I wasn't even throwing punches. I'm like, wow, how'd I do that? My defense was so good it knocked them down.
Did you huff and puff
Right.
until you flew your opponent down? Travis Rollins with the $5 tip gives us a hiya. What the hell is that? I got to copy and paste that into a Word document to see exactly what this is going to. Character appearing from behind the cloud saying hiya. Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. Excellent. I think we should probably get into it. We're gonna get back to Creed in just 1 second. But we got a couple of things we want to talk about first. Starting with something that I'm interested in. I hope it's something that Wes is also interested in. We were just talking about October, and we can't wait for it to come around. Wes is saying, I'm going to plug my PSVR1 back in when October rolls around because, horror games and here they lie and whatever. My hope, Wes, is that October rolls around and we have so much horror stuff to play that you don't even get to play your annual playthrough of Here They Lie. And that's a really poor setup for our next news story, which is that Perp Games just tweeted out that Madison VR is coming soon. Excited?
Yes, I am. This is one that I've actually had the opportunity to play for some time through mods and such, and I've actually refrained because I've known all along that there was a VR version of this game coming. And so, yeah, I haven't played this game at all. I've heard a lot of good things about it, and this is one of my most highly anticipated games. So, yes, very excited for this.
Yeah, I was playing through this in the worst possible way. When after David passed, the Mickey Tord, the CEO over at Perp Games, sent me like this gift box. It was just like, hey man, it's like I know you probably don't want to play VR right now. Probably struggling. He goes, so if you ever just need a distraction, here you go. And he sent me a copy for Switch, Oxide, Room 104, and Madison. And so I was like, shit, man, like dude fucking knew what was up, right? Like I didn't want to get into VR. I just wanted to lay in bed and be depressed and play shit. And I played a lot of Madison on Switch, which is the worst way to fucking play Madison. Like it's not good on Switch. Like it looks nice, but the frame rate chugs along at like 10 FPS. It's pretty fucking awful, I think. But still it conveyed the point. And the point was that, it's gonna be a real scary game, man. It's gonna be a real scary game. If anyone doesn't know what the deal is, it's essentially an escape room game, and a lot of puzzles, but also pretty damn scary. I thought it was scary at 15 FPS on the Switch screen. So in VR, high fidelity, it's gonna be crazy. So I'm excited for it.
Are you sorry that you played it? Are you sorry that you aren't going to be shocked by some of the things that happened? Swiss
cheese brain, Wes. The best part about not having a good memory is that I've already forgotten half of it. So there's that. I also only played about half of it. So yeah, and actually,
that's good.
I say I only played through half of it, but I have no idea how long it is. I played the first couple hours. It's good stuff.
That's cool. That's a good approach to take. That's what I do with the Resident Evil games, and it seems to be working out okay. So
nice. Kill Artist won the Dreamweaver Game Cat with the $5 tip. Says, sorry, I'm a bit late. Listen, I got to tell you one thing, Kill Artist. If you didn't tell us you were late, we wouldn't have known, right? You sneak in the back, you just kind of blend in with the crowd. No one fucking knows. He says, I was watching PSVR2 gunstock reviews, leaning towards the Vader 1 gunstock. What do you think, Wes? Is it time to be looking into gun stocks, or do we need a little bit more? Do they need a little bit more time in the oven?
I would wait for reviews. Which then again, we're not going to review all this crap. So who are you going to get these reviews from? So I don't know, man. I would beware. Gun stocks are a different thing. If you're a shooter enthusiast, you'll probably find some value in gun stocks. But they take some practice. Each individual one is different, and they all take a ton of practice to get used to. And now, with that said, Ryan, I do have one of the unreleased ProTube PSVR gun stocks. Actually, I met this guy in San Francisco at a bar. He had a backpack, and he gave me a gun stock right there in the middle of the fucking bar. And luckily, I had a backpack as well. And I haven't used it yet, but I do have one of the upcoming ProTube PSVR2 gun stocks. So I will be able to give you some thoughts on that when the time comes.
I mean, I'm excited, but also I wish I could have been a fucking fly on the wall when this exchange went down in the middle of a bar.
Dude, this guy was smashed. Like, I'm sure he doesn't remember meeting me at all. When I first met that guy, he was already just trashed. And like, he was slurring his words, and he's also French. So it was hard to make out a lot of what he was saying. But it was also hard to get away from him because he likes to talk, this guy. So shout out, dude, whatever your name is. Thanks for the gun stock.
Nice. Yeah, those things are expensive too. So I'm a little bit jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he also told me to send some people his way. Like literally, he told me to send people to his booth the next day because they need testers. He said when they need experienced VR testers to test out their PSVR2 prototype. And I just never made it back to the show after that. That was Thursday night that I met this dude, and I never made it back onto the show floor after that. But I did take the liberty of following him on Twitter. So even though I don't remember his name, I'm sure I could find out, and maybe we could get you one, Brian.
Cool.Moving on. Looper the Underground Game Cat with the €2 says Madison flat screen is on sale, by the way. I think I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, despite the fact that I've become the unofficial Perp Games spokesman, I don't know shit about how they're handling the PSVR2 version of this. I don't know if it's going to be a separate release or if it's going to be or just going to be a patch, like a free upgrade or whatever. So until we know more, I don't know. I certainly can't recommend that you buy it while it's on sale. But I'll put some feelers out though, because I know that a lot of people are curious. Travis Rollins with the $5 tip says, fan since before VR. Love your content. Thank you so much. That is bonkers, Wes. Anybody who watched Without Parole before we started covering VR stuff saw like the worst of the worst. Like that, we were a channel for like 2 years before VR came along. I don't know if we were a good channel 2 years before VR came along. Learned a lot over the years, but we had fun. That's all that matters.
I don't think I even watched YouTube all that much before VR, to be honest. Like outside of a few like conspiracy theory documentaries, I didn't really watch YouTube regularly until VR. And now it's pretty much like I don't watch a lot of stuff, but when I do watch stuff, it's typically YouTube. So it's a different world now, I think.
Agreed. I can't say I agree. I've always watched retro game stuff on YouTube. Like that's kind of the only reason I watch YouTube, retro game stuff.
Good point. Yeah. John Riggs, Angry Video Game Nerd. I used to watch that stuff a lot too.
You're right. Yeah. So actually just watching Metal. I haven't watched Metal Jesus Rocks in like forever. But yeah. And then I just watched a recent episode he did about like, and maybe it's not a recent episode. Maybe it just showed up in my suggested feed and it's like 7 years old. But he was like showing off his original Xbox collection, like the OG Xbox. And dude, collector mentality went into overdrive. I'm like laying in bed, like, just like trying to fall asleep. And I was like, wait, do I have Outrun 2006 on Xbox? Like, do I have Outrun 2? Oh my God. Please tell me that my copy of Panzer Dragoon Orta is in near mint condition. Like, it's just like, I need to go check out my collection. And I was like, turn it off, Brian. Turn it off. You don't need to fucking collect shit anymore.
That's the way I am, because I don't have one of these big physical game collections like a lot of people have, but I could so see myself getting totally sucked in by this and losing my bank account and my home to it. So I try to ignore these impulses when I have them and think about something else.
Yeah, I got real lucky, man. Like when I collected, this is like the 4th collection I've ever had in my life. But when I really went heavy, like into collecting again, it was when everything crashed. It was like when no one had any money and I was buying all sorts of crazy shit, crazy expensive stuff for like fucking nothing, right? Buying people's entire collections for $300, things that have Snatcher and Psychonauts and stuff. Psychonauts, no, I just read that in the comments. Somebody said Retronauts and it threw me off. What game am I trying to think of? Pop Full Mail? I don't fucking know, dude. I'm thinking about Sega CD games, so that's where my head is at. Probably not where it should be for an episode of PSVR Gamescast Live. Joey VR with the $2 tip says, anyone see if the No Man's Sky update helps graphics? Okay, so somebody needs to tell Hello Games to stop releasing their updates on Wednesdays, right? AJ cares. Miles definitely cares. So Mondays and Fridays are like maybe the better days for them to release patches. I didn't check it out because I haven't checked it out at all since PSVR2 launched, so I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. What I've heard on our Discord is that they changed the anti-aliasing issues, right? So like where things in the distance were blurry, now they're jaggy. And so, take it or leave it as your preference. But like I know in Firewall 0 Hour, just the second they gave us the option to turn off the fuzzy anti-aliasing and give us some crisper jaggies, that's what I want, man.
Yeah, I like you have not tried No Man's Sky since the launch, but I did hear on Discord today that this is a pretty good update and some of the stuff's VR focused. So, take that for what it's worth.
Cool. Travis Rollins with a $2 tip says you're too hard on yourself. Without Parole was fun. Listen, I need to be hard on myself all the time because that's just the way that I am. And I think that gets us. Oh no, Starlight the Intergalactic Game Cat with the €2 says I binged Returnal in 2 days. I need VR support for it. When you say you binged Returnal, does that mean you beat Returnal? Like you played it from start to finish in 2 days? Because that would be insane. But yes, I agree. Returnal in VR would be amazing.
That's incredible, man. It took me a month, over 100 hours of gameplay to play through the campaign the first time. And which, by the way, is not the end. You keep going even after that. But I couldn't. I had to put it down at that point. But I absolutely love that game, and I concur wholeheartedly here. We need this game in VR ASAP. So hopefully we'll see that sometime soon.
All right, man. I think we need to get moving here on our run of show, and so I'm just going to talk briefly here, very briefly, about the new game that's coming out on PSVR2. I think at midnight tonight, maybe tomorrow. I don't know the exact way it's being released. It's probably out in like Australia and like New Zealand and kind of shit like right now, because that's how stuff works on the PlayStation Store. But it's across the valley, and I don't think anybody was like super stoked when they saw this trailer, but. What it is, it's a new game from the guy who made Conrad's Kittens, or Conrad the Kitten, depending on when you played it. And so it's a one-man dev team, and he was going for a Stardew Valley type thing here. I'm going to have my review out either late night tonight or early tomorrow. But it's got some issues, man. It's got some issues. The thing is, it does a lot of things really, really well. It's like fun to raise the animals. It's fun to take care of the animals. It's fun to grow your farm and like decide which crops to grow and the whole thing. And it's got some really cool VRAF elements to it. Like, when you're throwing seed out, like you got a basket of seed and you're throwing it out and you decide where it goes. And the better you do at distributing it, like, the more crops you grow, and same with watering and same as everything. Everything kind of turns into a mini game. You get to shear sheeps and, go on truffle hunts with your pigs and milk your cow. Like there's a lot of stuff going on. You're constantly growing your farm and evolving it. But man, it's like fucking busted, dude. Like it's all click turning. It's all node to node teleportation. And the worst part of this is that the node to node teleportation is broken. Like you end up in walls constantly. Like, so if you're carrying a shovel, you'll teleport somewhere and your shovel will be stuck inside a wall. And it's just like, it's so frustrating. And I don't think anybody's going to be nearly as patient as I was with this game. It's because once you like kind of deal with all that, the gameplay loop is really fun. Now, the other part of that is I think it's only fun for about 4 hours. Because then you get to a point where you've kind of unlocked everything your farm offers, and then you're just unlocking more sheep, you're unlocking more cows, you're unlocking more, it's more of the stuff you've already unlocked. There's nothing automated in this. Not that I can tell, right? Like the appeal of these games is like you do the manual labor yourself, and then at a certain point, you buy machines or farmhands or something that you go, wow, like this just freed up so much of my day. Like a sprinkler system would free up so much of my time in across the valley. But instead it just become all you're doing by building up your farm is creating more work for yourself. Like that's it. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I think I'm done. And so 4 hours in is sort of where I've stopped. And So yeah, it's going to be a very mixed review, but unfortunately, at the $20 price tag that's going to release at, like, I don't know, we could probably accept some of these issues if it was like a $7 or $8 game. But I really hope they patch it. I hope they patch the issues, and I hope they patch it for content, because going back to this farm and just building it up further and further and further, I think would be a lot of fun. But right now, I think at a certain point, it just falls off a cliff, and you're like, yeah, that's all I need to do. I'm done.
I don't know, man.
Any interest at all, Wes?
None whatsoever. Now, with that said, I'm sure that there's an audience for these type of games. In fact, I know that there are. There are a lot of people who like playing this sort of thing. I've grown up in Kentucky and been on enough real farms that I've said this many times. I don't want to go into VR and work. I don't. I don't like restaurant sims and I don't like farming sims, because I've done hundreds of hours of both of those in my real life, and I don't need any more. So yeah, I have really. This might be a good game, issues aside, but I'm pretty confident it's not for me.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Actually, that was what I was thinking of when I was playing this. I was like, man, like, I don't like waiting tables in VR. I don't like bartending in VR. I've done too much of that in my real life. But I'm a city boy, Wes. I don't know what growing up on a farm is like. And so I was like, oh, this
sucks.
Yeah, well, it's not the greatest in VR either. It's a lot of manual labor. But I did like the gameplay loop. And so yeah. So if you're like me, you'll probably enjoy it for a few hours. If you're patient enough. And I don't think most people are going to be patient enough. I think most people are going to jump into this if they buy it and then go, Jesus, this thing's fucking broken. I'm teleporting to walls constantly. So again, hopefully they can fix it. But as far as the launch version goes, I would say stay away. Antone Jones with the $5 tip says, to my surprise, Vertigo 2 is out adventuring Horizon Call of the Mountain. Agree or disagree, Wes? Oh, and a PSVR2 haptics plus Vertigo 2, please. Yeah, definitely want that on PSVR2. Is it better? Is it out adventuring Call of the Mountain, Wes?
Man, what a loaded question. These are very different games. But I certainly can see why someone would say that. Yes, I mean, this is one of the most fantastic adventures I've ever been on. Now, that said, I haven't finished it yet. I don't know how it ends, but it's certainly trending in the right direction and getting better and better and better as I go through it. So I would certainly say, I mean, again, they're very different games. One is essentially a climbing-based game with, like, maybe the best graphics that we've ever seen in VR. Vertigo 2 is kind of cartoony, but I mean, the different realms it takes you through are just so vastly different, and the sci-fi story is just so weird and out there. The gameplay is much more nuanced. I mean, it's basically a shooter, but there's a ton of different weapons and gadgets. Yeah, I would say that Vertigo 2 might be a better game overall than Horizon, but again, I finished Horizon. I haven't finished Vertigo yet, so I don't know. We'll see.
And all made by one person, just like the first Vertigo?
One dude. It's been in development longer than I've been on YouTube. I mean, this game, I think he started in 2017 developing this game, I want to say. Yeah, it's been in development for a long time.
Nice.
And yeah, it's really good. It's really, really good.
Nice. I hope it makes it over to PSVR2 as soon as possible, because every time I hear about this, every time I see you playing the Vertigo games, I just like I want to fucking play this, and so very, very cool. Starlight, awesome. By the way, clarifies that yes, he did indeed finish Returnal in just 18 hours and 2 days. Joey VR with a $2 tip says, I'll come back Friday and Monday to ask Miles and AJ about No Man's Sky. Yeah.
Good idea.
All right, man. I guess that brings us to our topic of the show, which is all about Creed: Rise to Glory. The game came out. God, was it yesterday? I don't even know, man. The whole week kind of blurred together a little bit. Creed: Rise to Glory Championship Edition, PSVR 2. It's essentially a glorified PSVR 1 remaster. $20 upgrade fee, $40 for the standard edition. Wes, just right off the bat, man, I've already put my review out there. People know that I like it. What did you think of this game?
So far so good, man. I'm actually enjoying it more than I thought I would. Cards on the table. Today was the first time that I ever played Creed. Period. I didn't play it, the original version of it. So the Championship Edition is my first experience with it, and I don't know. It's a double-edged sword, because if you would have asked me an hour after I played Sprint Vector what I thought about it,
Mhm.
I would have said, "Man, it's so great! It's so much fun! I love it so much! It's just a fun, unique game." But I never really went back
Oh.
to Sprint Vector because my arms were destroyed after playing it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm very much having the same thing here with Creed. I had a lot of fun with it, but I eventually had to quit playing because I was getting slow, because I wore my arms out playing this game, and they're jelly now. It's hard for me to hold my arms up right now.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of fun playing it. But is this something I'm going to be putting hours into every day? Probably not. Like, I would suggest anyone who's going to get into this, do a fight or two and then come back tomorrow.
Shit, I just noticed the Patreon scroll is busted. I was absolute last minute trying to update the Patreon scroll before the show today, and it looks like it is absolutely busted. My apologies, guys. I will figure that out. I swear. I'm sorry. I suck at this. Dude, I'm the same way, man. Sprint Vector, man, I played when Sprint Vector came out. I played that game for nonstop for like 3 days straight, and it was just like I was so sore, but I didn't care. And of course, anytime anybody wanted to play, I was like, yes, let's get back in there. This is like the only real good kart racer type game we have. Like, it's not officially a kart racer, but it fucking plays like one. And I just loved it, man. I loved Sprint Vector. And Creed's kind of the same way, I think, for me. I will say I'm fucking way more out of shape than I was in 2018 when this game first came out. I definitely put on a few pounds, and and I don't run around at work anymore. I don't work at the restaurant anymore, and so it's a completely different situation. And I was like, this is great. This is great. This is going to get me up and moving around. And the whole time I was sort of like at a 7.9 in my head as far as a score went, right? Because I was like, it's really good. It's kind of not doing enough to charge people the extra $20 or to charge people $40 for the full game. And then the next day, I woke up and I was sore, but I was happy about it. And I was like, oh man, I'm like going to get back in shape with this game. And then there's a whole like calorie counter, and then they got the endurance mode, and there's all these different things you can do to use it as a fitness app. Go in and play a little bit every day to kind of help get yourself back in shape. And I was like, that's what pushed it from like a 7.8, 7.9 to an 8 for me. Where I was like, this game is more than meets the eye. On its surface, it seems like a pretty shallow set of 2 campaigns with a basic multiplayer mode in it. But when you kind of dive a little bit deeper, you're like, damn, I could really be using this frequently. It's far better than box VR that I was using prior to get in shape in VR. This actually works, and it's a lot of fun. In a second here, you're going to see on the screen me and Elvert duking it out just a couple hours ago, which Elvert, by the way, put up a really good fight. He won the first match. I won the second. We decided that's a good place to call it. We were both breathing pretty heavy, but it was a lot of fun.
Nice. Now, see, that's an aspect of this game that I have yet to even explore. I haven't even thought about the multiplayer implications. I'm sure this could be a lot of fun with a friend, right?
It could be a lot of fun with a friend, and I think especially if like you're playing with somebody who also wants to get in shape, and you like, hey, we got a Creed date, 9 a.m. every day. You start your day with some fisticuffs, and I think it would be really, really good way to get the blood flowing, starting the day off.
That's a good point, and it's a good aspect of this game, because people have been telling me for years now, like I need to do Supernatural, I need to do box VR. I don't want to do VR fitness apps. Like I do want to play games, and I happen to be like a fan of combat sports. Like, I like boxing, I like MMA. These are the only sports I really even pay attention to anymore. So this is something that I could see myself getting into for 30 minutes a day, 45 minutes a day, and and having some fun while shedding some calories. And I like, I like the way that they put the campaign together. It's a good mix of sim and arcade, I feel like. And the even the stamina thing doesn't really bother me in theory.
Yeah.
I think it could have been implemented a little bit better. Like I don't like that they put you through these training things, and a lot of them are like timing based and a lot of stuff you're like trying to learn and as you go. But when you get to the end of it, that's the amount of stamina you have for the next match, and it will not let you redo it. That's just, it is what it is. And I thought that kind of sucked. Like I would have liked to have had a second chance at some of them, because as you get tired, it gets harder to get through those things, and you like a mulligan every now and then. But I do like the idea. I like the idea of having stamina in the matches and having training determine exactly how much stamina you have. It makes sense. But yeah, overall, I was pretty impressed with it, and as something that makes me move around, I'm 10 times more likely to pick Creed back up than I am to ever go into something like Supernatural. So I could definitely see that helping a lot of people like me who really don't like exercising.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I will say that, I got this brand new PSVR2 headset, and now and after this weekend and after today, it's got sweat just like all over it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to take good care of it and make sure that it's, like I'm using microfiber cloths, and I don't want to scratch the lenses, and this thing's fucking gross right now. Like I need to find a good way, like to spray it down and clean it and make sure that I don't hurt it in any way. It is drenched in sweat.
Besides that, danger zone too, man. Like I feel like if this is something I really got into, I could totally break something, because constantly, like in between rounds, I have to pull my visor out to see where I am and recenter myself in my play space, because I'm always next to something that I shouldn't be next to when the round ends. So I could definitely see people like you want to have some room to play this, even with the locomotion, the artificial locomotion that they give you. You still end up having to move around quite a bit just to keep from getting hit.
Yeah, I feel like being like born and bred and raised on PSVR more than anything else. I'm really good at standing in one place when I play video games, and so I found myself bobbing and weaving and really making good use of the analog sticks. Which, dude, I know you didn't play this on PSVR1. But with the Move controllers, I felt like this game tracked really well with the Move controllers, but they also like didn't give us the option to just do some kind of standard movement system in the ring. Like you don't do much with the buttons in Creed or really anything. So why weren't like our traditional turn buttons? Why weren't those strafe buttons? Right? Like why weren't there just buttons to walk forward, back, strafe, the whole thing? Like instead they made us kind of do this weird like.
Yeah,
little dance.
Yeah, that would ruin it for me if I had to do that stuff.
It was
like you have
terrible.
The option to do that now, but I mean, who would ever choose that?
I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's really dumb. And so luckily that's been addressed. That was a big concern. The stamina meter that we were just talking about, it's better than it was on PSVR1, and PSVR1 is a major concern. I'll tell you that when you play multiplayer, when you play 1v1, the stamina becomes more of an issue later in the match, because most of the fights that you fight in Creed in the campaign, they don't go more than like 2, 3, 4 rounds. Like, and that's by design, I think, right? Because like Survios is like, well, we want regular ass gamers to be able to play this thing too. Like, you don't have to be in top physical shape. We don't want to kill people playing Creed. And so, but like when Elver and I were fighting, like I think we went 12 rounds once, and I forgot what the other one was, but both of them went for a long time, and by the end I was tired, he was tired, and then our stamina was absolutely reflecting that in game. It's like you get like one good punch in, and then like your fist is sort of doing the not quite where it should be thing, which is so it becomes more of an issue when you do the longer fights. But dude, the training stuff. That determines how much stamina you get in a match. I really like that. Like, and I think once you get used to all of the different things, like, oh, it's the treadmill, I got to do this. Oh, it's this, I got to punch like this. Oh, it's this thing, I got to punch it and then dodge it. You know, it's like all of these things. Like, I compare it to WarioWare in my review, and I kind of wish there were even more training mini games just to kind of keep you on your toes and keep just introducing different ones. I would have taken like 100 of those fucking things.
Yeah, we should be chasing chickens around. I mean, what the hell? This is a Rocky game at the end of the day.
Oh man, we got taking a quick break from the current discussion. We got Drinks07 with the $5 tip, says pick up and play fun and replayability. Zombieland versus Light Brigade, and is 2MD football worth the $15? I mean, if you're just doing pick up and play, I think Zombieland is your game, but I can't ever recommend Zombieland for any other reason over the Light Brigade other than that.
Yeah, that's true. The levels and matches are a lot shorter in Zombieland versus Light Brigade. I mean, I guess you could pick it up and play it, but I've never played it for less than an hour. Like every time I start on it, like even like the very earliest runs, we're deep into it. So like I don't really look at it as a pick up and play type of thing. But I agree. I think Light Brigade's probably a better game overall.
And what are your thoughts on 2MD VR football? I think it's an interesting question now that we have NFL Pro Era to compare it to. What do you think? Have you played either?
Not in this gen. Like I played both of them in last gen, and I thought that they both had their positives and their negatives. But I think as far as like a complete football game in terms of mechanics, 2MD is the best I've tried. So I would be shocked if that were any different now.
Gut VR links.
If you're a football fan and you just need your football fix in VR, then yeah, $15. I mean, that's a pretty minuscule price to pay for what is a pretty solid game.
Gut VR legs in the chat says buy everything, which strangely enough is sort of my recommendation too. It's like a lot of great games. I can't. I'm not a football guy. I'm never gonna be the guy that says 2MD or NFL Pro Era. I'm never gonna be able to tell you like which one's better or which one I have more fun with. I did have some fun with 2MD on PSVR1. Don't have a huge desire to go back to it. Much rather play their other game, Runner, which is way more my speed.
Yes.
Right? It's
yes.
Akira base. Like, oh my god, dude! Somebody just fucking put me out of my misery. Akira inspired motorcycle rail shooter type game. It's so much fun, and I can't wait to get back to that one for sure. Does that like get us caught up on tips, man? I'm like really off my game today. So let's just tackle the basics, man. Let's do the Game Pro thing. Graphics in Creed.
Good, very good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was very impressed with how it looked. I mean, obviously it's a cartoony art style, but everything was very detailed and crisp and clean. I mean, there was no aliasing or anything like that. No blurriness. Everything looks good.
Yeah. I wasn't thrilled with the upgrade, to be honest. I was like really, really hoping for something that looked just like, I don't know, that this sounds dumb. That packed a punch. I'm really not trying to like use, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, it was good. It was like, it was what, if somebody was like, oh, they just upgraded, they updated the Creed to PSVR2 from PSVR1, and they gave us a free upgrade. This is kind of what I'd expect it to be, but with a $20 upgrade and charging $40 for people who haven't played it before, I don't know. I just expected it to be a little bit sharper, a little bit. Some of the grays were there instead of blacks, and it just seemed like it was kind of more washed out than I was hoping it would look. Like I said, very happy with the way it looks overall, but not blown away by any stretch.
Well, I mean, we should just go ahead and say right off the bat that I don't know. $20 is a bit steep for any kind of upgrade fee for me. So I agree with you in that context that like I don't, again, not having played the first game, I'd be shocked if there were $20 worth of upgrade here.
I don't think there is. I think that the upgrades that we got are the ability to play it on PSVR2. The legacy campaign, as far as if I remember correctly, is brand new, and I actually like where the legacy campaign goes, because it jumps from character to character, and then there's like one like really interesting moment that like there was a story arc where I was like, this doesn't fucking matter. What are they doing? This is just an excuse to play some other character, whatever. And then like by the end, it cycles back around, and you're like, oh, that's actually fucking really cool. But overall, it's like, again, very, very short, and so being so short, it's hard for it to be too impactful. But it was still really cool, man. It was still cool. And that being said, of course, just like we were saying earlier, we don't have backwards compatibility. Some games are charging for the upgrades. Some games are getting free upgrades, whatever. Some games aren't getting, some games there's no upgrade path at all for. At this point, every game that comes over from PSVR1 to PSVR2, I'm very, very happy that we get, because there's gonna be some that don't make the transition. And so if I got to pay $20, I mean, I didn't pay $20 because Survios sent me a key, but if I've got to pay $20, then I'm more than happy to pay $20 to be able to play a game that I loved over here on PSVR2.
Okay.
Did I not? I don't know if this is the right fucking footage, because I expected Elbert's fight to be on the screen by now, but. JH in the chat says, does anyone know how to access the $20 upgrade for Creed with the physical edition? Okay, so let's figure this out real quick. It took Survios a little while to get the $20 upgrade fee onto the PlayStation Store itself. It was certainly not there at launch, and it took, I think, until earlier today, for them to get that working. And then they tweeted that if you have the physical copy of the game, they're still going to make that happen, but they said they're working with Sony, but it's just not as easy as you'd expect. So it should be happening at some point. We just don't know how long it's going to take. So sit tight and don't waste your money. Don't be impatient, I think is what I'm saying. Like you own the game. You have the right to the $20 upgrade fee. Don't waive that right and just say, well, here you go. I couldn't wait 3 extra days or an extra week or an extra 2 weeks. Save your money, man. There's going to be a lot of fucking great games to play on PSVR2, and every $20 counts.
Through that.
There's another whole element to this, Wes, that I'm curious about, or curious to hear your take on at least. During the PSVR1 era, Survios started off as what I would say one of the premier VR developers, right? Like almost right out of the gate with raw data, having this amazing story, amazing gameplay mechanics, multiple characters to play as, on progression system, the whole thing. Cool ass storyline as far as I was concerned. Raw data was one of those games that you were like, man, VR is so cool and it's only going to get better. And then it was a little bit downhill from there. Like Sprint Vector was great, Battle Wake was less great, The Walking Dead Onslaught was less great, and we were just like, what's happening with Survios? Do you think, how much faith do you have in them? Like, is this the beginning of Survios' comeback, or do you think that this is a fucking PSVR1 remaster with some additional content? Do you think that it's premature to start saying that Survios is back?
Yeah, I think it's a little premature because, I mean, it's easy for them to kind of take a title that was already successful, that's something that they already know it's good because people told them that it was good. So it's kind of easy to go back to that and kind of refine it a little bit and put a better version out. But Survios has always had good production values. It seems like to me as an observer that there aren't very many people there who really know what's fun in VR. Because sometimes it's great from Survios, and then other times it's not so great. It'll be repetitive or just not very fun to play. So no one's ever questioned their ability to put together a VR game that looks like a AAA game. But sometimes their games just aren't very fun. Battle Wake's a good example of that, and even The Walking Dead Onslaught, where it seems like with that game, like it's hard to miss with that formula in VR, but somehow they managed to do it. So no, I would need to see at least 2 good games in a row from them before I get some kind of confidence in them to say, okay, we know their next game is going to be good just because it's from Survios.
Yeah.
Like we're far from that right now, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely, again, I'm very happy with the way that Creed turned out. Have been having a lot of fun, and I'm super fucking sore right now. That is just, there's no getting around that whatsoever. I am sore as hell. In fact, after the first day of playing Creed, I woke up and I was like, man, I'm sore. And after the second day of playing Creed, I woke up and I was like, wow, I'm really sore. And then today I woke up and I was like, I don't think I can fucking move. I think I hurt my back. Like, like that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I'm like, I want to use this thing as a fitness app. I want to use this thing and have a lot of fun, but a little bit nervous that like that won't be how it goes down. But anyway, so that's not really important. I think to just get a little bit more perspective on this, Wes, I saw somebody in the chat ask about Westworld VR, which never came to PSVR, apparently one of their better VR titles. Can you go to bat for that?
I can say that at the time I was very impressed with it and I enjoyed it a lot. As a fan of Westworld, it felt like being in the television show and kind of having your own story arc. Would it hold up today? I'm not so sure. It was a bit of, I don't know, it was pretty basic in terms of what you were doing, trying to just find your way out and escape. The things that really made it impressive were the production values and the voice acting, things like that. It was pretty photo real, and it had some fun stealth sequences in it where you're being, pursued by a baddie, and you can't like make any noise or be seen. That was pretty fun in that aspect of it. I really, really enjoyed it at the time and hailed it as Survios' best work at that time. But I haven't played it in a couple of years, and I'm not sure if it holds up to like today's standards. But yeah, it was very, very good.
Well, their next game is Alien VR, or Aliens VR, and no one has seen a video. No one has seen a screenshot. Action horror, I think, is what they're calling it, and I really hope they lean more heavily into the horror element, because Aliens is just a fucking terrifying IP. If you are a human and there are aliens around, you should be fucking scared. I don't want it to turn into like some kind of action game. Some action, great.
I think it's going to be
right. Absolutely, some action.
I think it's going to.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on you.
Mm-mm. I want to hear what you got to say.
No, I fully expect this to be an action game. I think it's going to be like the Aliens games that you play in the arcade, where there's just going to be tons of little shit to shoot. You want to shoot the face grabbers out of the air before they land on you, that sort of thing. Yeah, I think they're calling it an action game for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, I do fully expect that. At a certain point, you start off and you won't have the arsenal that you will near the middle of the game, the end of the game, and so I do hope that they kind of stick with the horror element at least for the beginning of the game until you get comfortable around the xenomorphs, and the face huggers and everything else. Like, because you can only be scared of those things for so long until you've seen 1,000 of them, and then eventually you're just like, okay, well, I'm not scared of these things anymore. Now let's pick up the action. Let's give you some more weapons to deal with. Let's make it more of an action game. But like leaning into the horror element to get you started, I think is a good idea. But we'll see what happens.
I hope they really lean into that aspect of it. It'll be a missed opportunity if they don't.
Yeah, agreed. Dan, the Game Cat's Pajamas in the chat says, nope, I love Aliens, but I can't play horror. Please leave a few games for me, Brian. You can't have them all. I disagree, Dan. I'm going to have all the games. They're all for me. I'm not sharing with any of you.
I hear this in my community as well. Like there are a few people who are unhappy with their PSVR2 purchase because they don't have anything that they want to play. And I'm like, well, what about Village? What about The Walking Dead? What about Switchback? And they're like, I don't play scary games. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it must suck for you. Go play Gran Turismo, I guess.
I mean, you can play Horizon. You can go climb a mountain.
That's true.
I guess. I don't know, man.
Light Brigade. I mean, Light Brigade's awesome. There's some stuff to play.
There's a ton of stuff to play. Demeo is amazing. Not scary. Although tense. Right. Certainly scared of dying because I don't want to waste 3 hours of my life to not finish a fucking run. That's all.
Good point.
So, yeah, man, definitely fingers crossed for Survios. They are they've proven to be a very talented studio throughout the years. Even things like Battle Wake, which I think is, sort of where everyone points to, the company beginning their downward trajectory. I don't think it was a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. I loved controlling that ship. I thought it was a lot of fun just to play. It wasn't very deep at all. Like there's just they went real hard on arcade games and didn't care much about the depth of them. So I don't know if they have to reconsider that or what the deal is. I think Walking Dead Onslaught probably opened a few eyes over there at the studio as to what gamers really wanted, but I think we'll find out. They did mention at one point that they were extremely interested in PSVR2. That is what they kind of saw as VR's future. So let's see what they've got for us.
Yeah, well, let's see.
I didn't pick a game for 20 questions, Wes, because I am super duper unprepared for today's show.
Is it my turn? I think it might be my turn.
Perfect. It's your turn. And while you're figuring out a game, let's read Professor Lilith's tip. Professor Lilith writes, with the $5 tip, happy almost Easter. The Sunday multiplayer survey is posted in the Discord. It's Wizards, which is Demeo, versus Zombies, which is After the Fall. This all happens at 2 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. Guys, if you don't know, Professor Lilith hosts a GameCat multiplayer meetup every single week on Discord, every single Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. It's a good time. It's a good time. And like so many people I see so many comments from people on the YouTube channel saying, man, I wish I had more friends who had PSVR2. Man, I wish, I wish I could play these multiplayer games, but I don't have anyone to play with. And I don't want to play with a bunch of randoms. Well, wish no longer, because if you head on over to our Discord, it's the fucking coolest community I've ever been a part of. And I'm just thrilled that it's my community. Very excited about that. And so come on over and you'll have a bunch of friends pretty much instantaneously. And if you need an introduction to everybody, a Sunday multiplayer game might be the place to do it. Demeo or After the Fall. Go over to the channel and vote which game you want to play this Sunday. Thank you so much, Professor Lilith. Wes, was that a long enough rant for you to pick a game?
I think so. I think we have one here. I have a feeling there might be a lot of I don't know answers to it, but we're going to go with it anyway.
Great. So it's a game you probably haven't played. We're off to a good start. All right, guys, you know how this works. I suck at this game. Everyone who plays this game sucks at this game. So make sure you help me out in the chat. We're going to be... we've only got 6 minutes, and I need you guys to ask good questions in the chat, which I'll probably take advantage of. And then depending on what Wes responds with, give me some good game suggestions as to what it could be. I'm going to put the clock up on the counter the way that Jeremy likes it. On your mark, get Des. Go. Okay. Is this game on PSVR2 or has it been announced for PSVR2?
I don't think it's been announced for PSVR2. But I don't know that to be 100% fact. It's a bit of an obscure title in the big picture. But,
all right, you guys.
I don't think it's been.
It's Wanderer, you guys.
You know what? I'm gonna. I don't know the answer to that, so I'm not going to charge you for it. We'll just start over, and I don't know. I'll say I don't think so.
No. Dude. I got so much information out of that one question. We know that it's a PSVR 1 game. That
it is definitely a PSVR 1 game.
May or may not have been announced for PSVR 2. You can definitely count that question.
Sure.
I learned so much. So definitely PSVR 1, not on PSVR 2 yet. What else, guys? What else? Oh shit. Do you have a companion in this game? Is there either an animal or a floating robot or wristwatch or anything like that? Did you have a companion throughout this game?
I don't think so. No. Right. No, I wouldn't say that.
Well, that eliminates a bunch of games.
Like you might. I mean, you might have. There might be other characters that are humanoid characters that are like on your side, but I don't think there's any kind of like animals or robots or anything like that.
Okay.
I don't think so.
All right, that eliminates so much. There goes Arashi, there goes Wanderer, there goes fucking every single VR game on the face of the planet because I'm so goddamn sick of robot companions that just hover around and talk so much. Is it horror? Asks Brandon VR.
I don't think so. No.
Don't think so.
No, it's not a horror game. For sure
Okay.
not a horror game. There might be some elements I'm not aware of, but it's not a horror game.
Okay. Let's see. Did this developers make did they make other VR games? Other let's say PSVR games?
Yes.
Okay. That helps us out quite a bit. Because only a few studios actually delivered more than one game. I guess we could just knock out a bunch of... I mean, was this game made by Survios?
No.
Okay.
That's 5.
Was this game made by Fast Travel?
No, that's 6.
Okay. Endeavor 1. No, I don't think we can ask about Resident Evil because Capcom didn't make more than one game for PSVR 1. Brandon says, I'm apparently just using Brandon's questions. Says, is this game a rhythm game or a puzzle game?
No, it's not. It's kind of 2 questions, but we'll count it as one. It's not a rhythm game or a puzzle game.
I sneak in. Yeah, everything. You should see some of the questions AJ asks. Okay,
Yeah, right.
Corey asks, was it made by Skydance?
No, it was not.
Damn it. All right, let's go with time to play. Does it have multiplayer, whether that be co-op or PvP? Just leaderboards don't count.
You know, I thought that it might, but it appears not. No, this appears to be a single player game.
I'm so fucking stumped. I don't know why. I should just ramble off a bunch of studios. Was this made by Arvory, Lamasoft?
Are we gonna do this again?
Right.
Okay.
Well, because if you say yes, then I'm gonna have to narrow it down, right? But no, I can knock out a bunch of these.
Right.
God, I can't think of any developers right now. This is awful. Or Camouflage.
No, and no.
Okay, we knocked out a bunch of shit right there. Good.
That's 10. Should be 14, but it's 10.
Oh, was it made by the Binary Mill? Good question, Brax Bro.
No.
Okay, I fucking don't know what game this is. Kill Artist says, is it a top 20 game? Like a game that we would ever consider for the top 20 list?
I highly doubt it.
Highly doubt it. Oh God. Would you consider it a sport of any kind? Like even like, racing and ping pong, those are sports, right?
No, it's not a sport.
You guys, I'm in big trouble here. Oh yeah. Dan, good question. Was it made by In Dreams?
No.
Fuck, dude. Was it made by Sin Studio?
No, that's 15.
I'm so fucking done right now. Is what you're doing in this game primarily shooting?
Well, your audio went out, but I think you were asking me if you're primarily shooting.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, primarily
Yes, you
shooting.
are primarily shooting.
Okay. Fuck. Is this game Sniper Elite VR?
No, did they make another game
Nope.
for PSVR?
Nope, I couldn't. Oh wait, no, it's Rebellion, right?
Yeah.
And so technically they made Battlezone.
Oh, well, there you go. No, it's not Sniper Elite.
I lost. Wes, what? But thank you everybody for the help. What game is it, Wes?
Well, this game was developed by Monochrome.
Oh my
and
God!
was released less than 2 weeks ago. Head Count VR.
Head Count VR. Oh my God! I cannot believe it. Head Count VR, who also made Contagion VR Outbreak.
That's right.
Oh man!
Looks like they took a bit of a step down with this one. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
Um,
Have you didn't play this on PC?
sure. Oh no, I did not. No, I saw this and said nope.
Yeah.
No, we don't have any. I'll go play Crisis Brigade. We know that one's fun.
Looper, the Underground Game Cat, coming in with the logic and reasoning with the €2 says Sniper Elite is definitely a top 25 game. It's true.
It's a good point.
It's true. But man, I was 0 seconds on the clock. I had to scream something and just pray.
No, I absolutely love Sniper Elite. It was top 10 or top 15 for me. I'm pretty sure when we did our top 50.
Wow.
Like, I love Sniper Elite. I think it's great.
Yeah, I think it's great. It kind of falls toward the bottom of the top 25 list for me. It's there. Braxbro says, "What in the frick is Headcount VR?" Yeah,
it was the first title I saw. Like, I pulled up the PS Store. I was like, "Oh, that's out now."
Yep.
Okay, we'll do that.
Dude, over the last like month or two, I went from a person who has played practically every single PlayStation VR game ever made to having I've never touched Desperate Vladivostok. I've not touched Headcount. Like my flawless record is being tarnished worse and worse by the day, which is a shame. But you know what? At a certain point, you got to move on. Headcount though, man, Headcount is so just. It's a rail shooter, but the rail you're on is just so ridiculous. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I should probably play it at some point. I heard somewhere from someone that maybe it's okay.
It's hard to mess up shooting in VR, but I mean, man, if there ever was a 2023 game that looks like a 2016 game, it is this one.
Yeah, it does, and I'm terrified. I'm terrified, Wes, because I feel like I would start this game up. I would pull out my PSVR1 headset. I would connect it up, get my Move controllers all charged and ready to go. And you know what would happen? This game would be a fucking blurry mess. Like
I'm sure. Yeah. What happened, man? Like, Contagion had its bugs and certainly had its flaws, but I mean, it was a pretty good looking game with some decent mechanics. Like, this is just like Monochrome fell off a fucking cliff with this. It took them years to get to this from Contagion.
Yeah, but
what have they been doing?
I think. Hold on, I have a theory. I'm looking this up right now on Steam because I have a theory that that Headcount came out forever ago. Oh, April 18th, 2022. Nope, I take it back. It was literally a year ago on Steam. My theory was that this was just an older game that they just ported over and they were going to see if they could make any money off of it.
And for what it's worth, what happened with Contagion, they released an awesome demo, and then the first couple of levels were really good, and then it took them forever to finish the game, and there were a lot of bugs. They lost their game director. He either left or they fired him like mid-development cycle, and they kind of had to cobble together a team to finish that game. And it looks like he's being sorely missed now from the looks of things.
Yeah, I mean, the first level of Contagion VR Outbreak, I think, is great. It's in the apartments, like it has a nice visual style. Once you get outside, that falls apart completely. But then the second level, I'm not a fan of. The third level, which is a weird escape room level, is like whatever. But then the most recent one that they added, which is the biotech level, is bigger than the entire rest of the game. That biotech is the reason to play that game. I don't think there's a reason to play that game. If they brought it to PSVR2 with some enhancements and stuff, maybe, but I don't know, man.
And you play that first level and it makes you feel like this is going to be the definitive zombie shooter in VR.
Yeah.
And then it just never quite lives up to that afterwards.
Agreed. Wes, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. This has been really good checking in and getting back on a regular Wes Day schedule. Love it. Can you tell me a little bit about what's happening over on Virtual Strangers these days? If anybody doesn't know, obviously Wes runs his own channel with his own friends, which I'm not part of because we're not really friends. And no one over there likes me anyway. So we just kidnap him once a week for an hour and a half, and he reluctantly does this shit. But over on Virtual Strangers, they talk about everything VR, not just PlayStation VR2. So click the link in the description below and subscribe to him for the following reason. Wes, what's happening over there?
I think that we're going to do Game of the Month for March tonight. There is a small possibility that we pivot off of that. One, because I feel like I'm sorely underprepared, but I always feel like I'm underprepared when we go into one of those episodes. But I literally might be evacuated out of here as soon as I end this episode. We have a strong line of storms coming through. And if I have to leave my home, then there are going to be games that I need to play that I'm not going to have played by the time showtime comes on. So we might have to pivot. The good news is if we do have to pivot, we just got some early access to some highly anticipated releases that I think we're free to do content on. So if we don't do game of the month tonight, we're going to do something really, really cool and show people some stuff they haven't seen yet. So something cool's happening, probably game of the month, but if not, then you're going to not want to miss it. So
nice. Well, yeah. I hope I'm hoping for the best, man. Like you had mentioned the storms rolling through before the show. I didn't realize they were as serious as you just made them sound. So hopefully everything goes well and no one needs to be evacuated and everything's fine.
And by the way, I need people to show up tonight and help us figure it out. Like if we do game of the month tonight, like I don't know, like do we go Switchback or do we go Saints and Sinners 2?
Wait,
on PlayStation.
I need to show up tonight, apparently, because what the fuck kind of question was that? Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 is like top 4 game. I mean, you can like Switchback. You can maybe even love it. But you don't. Okay, you know what? Everybody, all of us, you guys with me, we're all going over to Virtual Strangers tonight and flooding the chat with, obviously, Retribution is the answer. Okay? All of us.
I think that you're right, but I haven't finished it yet. I finished Switchback though. Didn't hesitate to finish Switchback, and I probably have more time in Switchback than I do in Saints and Sinners.
Well,
just because
that's
I replayed
the problem, dude. Retribution gets better the longer you play it, and like the back third of that game is just like way different than the first. Okay, you know, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to shut up and save all my comments for your chat tonight.
And then we move over to PC where we have Saints and Sinners going head to head with Vertigo 2, which is an even more impossible scenario. And then I'm trying to kind of crunch and get in a little bit of time in all the stuff that came out on Quest because I've completely neglected Quest for probably close to 2 months now. But there's some stuff out on Quest too, most of it from Fast Travel Games. But yeah, man, it's going to be an interesting episode, and we are going to need help. There will be polls in the chat, so people show up, make your voices heard, and help us pick the right stuff.
Yeah, what a fantastic time to be a VR gamer, Wes. Like,
yes,
you know, like PC VR was all but dead, you know, and PSVR was dead, and then here we are, amazing games coming for PC VR, amazing games coming to PSVR2. Lots of great stuff to talk about to the point that we can't even keep up with it. So very, very thrilled to be where we are right now. Hopefully it keeps up.
Yeah, it's hard. It really is hard to keep up with. Like literally when I started thinking about doing Game of the Month and started looking at all the stuff that came out that I haven't played on the other platforms, I was just like overwhelmed with it. And I'm contacting people who I used to stay in regular contact with, like, oh, I'm so sorry, I've been so busy, and could you send me keys for your last 3 titles? like it's been a lot. It's been a lot to keep up with.
I bet. Well, listen, thank you everybody out there who hung out for the show today. Obviously all the people that help this channel run, you know, not just my amazing co-host, but the people behind the scenes, Jamie, who gets stuff on podcast services of your choice, Sci-Fi Game Kit Henry, that puts the timestamps into this sucker after the fact, all my moderators who make my life infinitely better each and every single day, even if we're not doing anything on the channel, man. Like, talk about emotional support. These guys are the fucking best. Also, everybody that supports the channel financially over on patreon.com/withoutparolegames, that is a member over here and doesn't even know why. And of course, everyone who tips during the show, everyone who helps during 20 questions, everybody who chats, and everybody who sits back and watches the show and doesn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there, and we love you just as much. Happy West Day, Wes.
Happy West Day, Brian.
Dude, so I copied and pasted this earlier on. We had like 200 votes when I shut down the poll. Did you buy Creed Championship Edition on PSVR2? 16% of you said yes, and I love it. 16%. 3% of you said yes, but it's just okay. 0% of you said yes, but I don't like it. An overwhelming 81% of you said nope, I didn't buy it.
Man, this just goes to show, man, sometimes it's best just to wait until people need something to play. Like, I honestly think that the launch lineup is still looming large over everything else right now.
Yeah.
Not just on PSVR, but in VR in general. Like that launch lineup was so full and had so many great titles in it that like nobody needs any new games right now.
Nobody needs any new games right now, and I feel weird, man, because like the only way I can feel good about myself is to make sure I have reviews out for the games that are coming out as they come out, right? Because that makes me feel like I'm current and on top of shit. But there's so many launch games that still need coverage that like I'm not even remotely on top of shit. But that's the double-edged sword we live by, I guess. So
Indeed.
all right, man. Well, good luck with the storm, and good night, everybody. We love you all.